The regional events were organized and conducted with the minimum. In most cases, you find that the rural levels, the people at the rural areas are always seen as the last miles, and in this case, the last mile is the farmer, who are the beginning of the agricultural value chains. So in the case of the Agriculture Extension Advisory Systems, it was very important to frontline the workers, all foot soldiers. Therefore, these regional events were proposed to allow more agricultural value chain actors to contribute to their output. The purpose of this regional event was to bring together at least 40 participants. Next slide, please. The purpose of this event was to bring together at least 40 participants from both the public and private sectors to debate on the critical agricultural development issues within their regions. The main objectives were to give an overview of Agriculture Extension Fora, that is UFAs, to help participants understand why the National Agricultural Extension Week is organized, and also to develop and discuss a sub-theme or two that are most relevant to their critical issues in their regions. And also to highlight the current capacity gaps, needs within the agriculture extension system, and generate recommendations for addressing these gaps. Another purpose was to raise priority A's policy, practices and recommendations for building actors' resilience, and also to mobilize partners towards this extension week. The main outputs of these events were to get a clear understanding of UFAs and to ensure that the regional critical issues related to sub-themes of the national event were clearly brought out. Then the regional capacity gaps and needs within the AE system, priority issues, the priority policy, and a list of participants to attend this week, where we were able to obtain. Okay, the first event that took place was in West Nile sub-region, and it was held on 3rd of May at Abizadi, Zonal Agricultural Research. They selected the sub-themes 1, 3, 4, and 5. Then the needs that came up within this region is scaling up the value chain within the agriculture sector in the region. They also they brought this, the need to embrace digital innovations by all actors, empowering youth in agriculture, integration of mindset change into the agriculture extension, need to upscale dairy farming, and need for proper coordination among the extension workers. The gaps that were identified in West Nile region was lack of cohesion in voicing concerns about the agricultural extension at the national level, no proper coordination among the extension workers, inadequate value addition centers and marketing within the region, poor transport network, guiding policies for agriculture extension advisory services. Then recommendations that they gave was UFAs should play a facilitatory role in bringing all the actors together across West Nile. The second workshop was in Greater Masaka sub-region, and it was held at Kamenyamigo Research Station on 17th May 2023. And the policy issues raised were increased access to agricultural extension, agricultural education, promote rural development, improve healthcare within the region, improve transportation, foster environmental conservation within Greater Masaka, increase access to clean water and sanitation, encourage entrepreneurship among the youth, strengthen food security, enhancing the micro-scale irrigation program within the region, and also government to continue capturing issues of ACDP, then capacity building of extension workers. The recommendations that were given was to creating a strong partnership between extension service providers and the farmers, providing timely and relevant information to the farmers, which can easily be achieved through the use of information communication technologies, prioritize the provision of practical hands-on training for farmers, promote the use of sustainable agriculture practices to conserve the environment and natural resources, revise the budget, agriculture, and engage MPs of the budget desk to know the essence of agriculture in Uganda. The gaps that were identified were limited access to extension services, limited access to information, inadequate monitoring and evaluation within the region in agriculture. Then the recommendations were increase funding for extension services, invest in technology-based services, training programs that focus on technical knowledge, communication skills, and improve professionalism for extension agents and workers within the public system. Then encourage digitalization of agriculture within the region. The next, the third workshop was held at the Job Center in Lira on 19th May 2023, and it was for Lango and North Karamoja. The sub-themes, they selected sub-theme number 1, and the issues that were raised on sub-theme number 1 were few extension staff. There are few extension staff to give the agricultural extension services, inadequate facilitation in terms of transport means, allowances for these extension workers, low adoption of modern agricultural technologies, capacity building of extension workers is also low within the region. Most farmers lose farmer associations that are donor dependent. Here they say that most of there are few associations within the region that are donor dependent. Then poor quality agro inputs and vet inputs. The recommendations they gave under this sub-theme were recruitment of more extension workers, allocation of demonstration skills, equipments like soil testing kits and protective gears, provision of transport means and allowances to extension workers, retooling of extension officers, recruitment of communication voluntary extension workers, recruitment of community voluntary extension workers to help in extending service delivery, building the capacity of farmer associations. Then under sub-theme 3, there is declining soil fertility within the region, inadequate water for production, high cost of agro inputs, fake inputs being supplied into the market within the region, poor owner response to challenges and questions posed by the farmers to extension officers, limited support by the government, especially in marketing produce. Then the recommendations that were given were use of fertilizers to replenish soil nutrients, acquisition of soil testing equipment. MAIF and agricultural policy should ensure strict monitoring of inputs being sold on the market. This they emphasized more because they are looking at the agricultural police. It's the police who are concerned in monitoring those people and ensuring that the products that are there are of good quality. Then under sub-theme 4, there is a problem in access to land, inability to access financial services by the farmers, skills gap for agriculture extension service providers, negative mindset and attitudes towards agriculture, especially by the youth within the region, limited access to agricultural advisory services, and there is gender balance, vulnerabilities by women, especially during maternity, which limits their productivity within the region, and limited access to market information. The recommendations were advocacy and implementation of policies, capacity building of the skill gap, mindset transformation and attitude change. More extension workers are to be recruited, revolving funds set aside to address the challenges of access to financial services, sensitization in media on the unique roles of women and youth in agriculture within the region, digitalization of agriculture so that more youth are involved. The last workshop was held at Muzadi Regional Workshop, and it was also on 19th of May. Under this, it was mostly the DPMOs of all the districts within the Muzadi area region. The sub-themes they selected was sub-theme number 2, and the issues that came up is strengthening PDM extension workers and staff. Government programs should first be piloted before they are introduced. Understanding farmers' needs, upgrade the capacity needs and building programs within the region. Quality assurance on training and ensuring adequate manpower. The ratio of the extension officers to the parish and facilitating them fully. Revise and review the structure of the government policy. Scrap off or revise co-funding to farmers. Spot out and use the role model farmers in providing the extension services. Suggestions for containing successful projects. Having clear guidelines for programs and involving all stakeholders within the region. Selecting a preparation of beneficiaries, monitoring and supervision of the government program, and always alert DPMOs to inject and monitor farmers' projects. Having progressive stories and cases for model farmers within the region. This would encourage more farmers to do the same thing. Knowing variables that will measure indicators and impacts on the progress. So the DPMOs and extension workers within the area must always know the measures, the indicators they can use to measure the progress within. And the problems that were raised within the region is programs. The programs always came out without funds, false information that is always given by farmers during data entry process. The solution that develop a tool for baseline information, make use of ICT teams. Agriculture census should be carried out. Get a focal person to guide through the PDM process. There's recommendations, teamwork, develop genetic tools for record keeping, identifying indicators and benefits derived, monitoring and evaluating the success stories. Next. The recommendations that were given on markets were register input dealers. Then there is need to understand the market systems, opportunities, and risk evaluation within the region. Marketing extension effectively, that is, develop an advocacy group within the region, knowledge and skills of key individual actors, financial literacy training, business planning in accordance with the pillars, then strengthen farmer group organization and link them to financial service delivery. Under the sub-theme 5, they suggested that there should always be packaged information in the information should be packaged in a simple way, bringing agricultural information on TVs and radios. Audiovisual messages through the media must always be used to pass the information. Government to reduce on data cost and charges so that our farmers can be in position to access internet, target the relevant audience and innovations. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ruth. A big hand clap for her. Yes, she took time to engage and take notes. And I have learned from her that this is just a summary. There is a detailed report of their proceedings on what happened, so the different issues that came up are really taken good care of. I will not ask for any feedback now regarding what she has presented, but I will invite the chief rapporteur to make a wrap-up in 5 minutes on what has been happening here, and then after him, we can have an interaction, 1 or 2 feedbacks in regard to regional events as Ruth has presented, and also the entire process. Just to take note that our Honorable Minister of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries, Honorable Frank Tumwebaze, we are expecting him here at about 11 a.m. for the official closing. So let's wrap up, tour around, take a cup of tea after some time, then we will be connecting through. So take us through, then.
Thank you so much. I've been given 5 minutes. I guess I use even less than 5. The person on my laptop, try to move forward. I'm recapping day 1, day 2. Day 3, which is yesterday, was verbally recapped in here. So I'm only looking at what happened on Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, we had the key 3 things. In the morning, we had the first communication, of which the key thing in there was the keynote address. And then phase 2, we had the plenary. And then phase 3, end of the day, we had the dialogue. On Tuesday, we had workshops and side events. In the keynote address, which was presented by Professor Mangeni, the key thing in there was like, if we are to drive towards agro-industrialization, we might end up having machines grinding nothing if we don't strengthen the extension system in the country. So to produce what is enough for the machines to have what to eat, we have to strengthen extension. Partners, because we have both private and public and so many others, there's need for that kind of collaboration so that we can have a balanced communication, coordinated and harmonized. Collaboration with advocacy and civil society is also important if we are to improve competitiveness of the extension service providers. And then the issue of giving out only motorcycles or cars is not enough. I like that statement. It's not enough. Let's beef up the communication by providing airtime, to make sure that besides reaching there, there's also need for prior communication on what is important or what is expected from the farmers. Aligning policies and create an enabling environment for effective implementation of agricultural programs is also important. After break on day one, we had the panel discussion. We had different discussants, but this is what we managed to capture. The missing legal framework for regulating the different service providers in the agriculture extension domain. Being open-minded. Agriculture of yesterday is not same as agriculture of today. So if we are to have an effective and competitive extension setting in the country, let's be dynamic. Let's not be, glued to one aspect. Embracing digital extension services, if we are to cascade, extension services to a bigger mass. And then consolidating structural sensitivity. These are to do with what is in the community, the norms, etc. So if we are to cascade extension to a bigger, setting, we need to be sure that we coordinate all the, the communal, the cultural stuff, etc., such that everyone is catered for. MAIF and other partners to bring youth, okay, the issue of youth came so much. In terms of the digital outreach, we saw that these were the challenges, infrastructure, connectivity, and so many others. Can we go to the dialogue? In the dialogue which we had, the funding has always been mentioned. It's becoming a song every day. Extension from the public is not felt. It is extension from the NGOs. But I think later, we saw that if we have extension from the public, so extension from the non-state or the NGOs, and we are singing pluralistic, that we should not pin the public extension. That is something for debate. And then AEA support system should enhancing rationality, that farmers invest where they see outputs or returns. In other words, they are not irrational. They calculate where they are to invest their money. But of course, this can be enhanced further if we have an effective extension support system. Agriculture curriculum is out of date and is not meeting the farmer clientele. We need to address issues between market and farmers. We have extension service providers who end up becoming brokers and something of a sort. And so farmers who would be getting much lose out to the brokerage services of the extension service providers. Government programs are changing priorities. That today we have, for example, the Poverty Eradication Action Program. The next day we have Plan for Modernization of Agriculture. Then we have OWC. Then we are kind of shifting goalposts instead of having a program to run for long. So when we have extension service providers trained, the following day they are going to lose focus. It's like every day we are changing, and so when we talk about effective, we are losing it out in those kind of changes. Day 2, which was the on Wednesday, that day we had workshops running and we had the side events running. And these workshops are pinned to the key themes, or basically the key themes that are driving this extension week. We had 5 themes, but of course I tried to pick out 4 themes. I'm sorry. I picked out 4 themes to fit within the time. The first one was about women and youth engagement and opportunities in the agriculture value chains. as actors and beneficiaries. What came out was parents have a role to play in shaping the mindset. If a farmer is not interested in agriculture, most likely even the children will follow. So if we are to engage the youth in agriculture, let it start from the parents. Agric institutions should produce change agents and not just extension. A change agent talks to your brain and the brain follows. An extension, I bring it to you, whether you want or not, I've brought to you. So let's talk to the people we are taking these things to, so that we can have effective uptake. Inclusion promotes exclusion. When we talk about inclusion, everyone thinks, let's bring the women on board, but it's not it all. Everyone in the community should be brought on board. Leveraging, theme 2, leveraging on and strengthening public programs and projects. And the key thing there was sustained markets was the key to agri development. If you bring a technology to the community, but then later there is no market, everyone will throw it away. Who remembers, for example, aloe vera? They sang the song of aloe vera, but today it's nowhere, because I think the market is nowhere. And this is what is affecting. Someone gave an example yesterday that they took a project to a certain district X, and then the leaders in the district asked that of the budget you've brought, you must have some cut for my councillors to approve your project. You know? And then sharing costs versus giving handouts, that instead of NGOs and other private service providers of extension, instead of giving out money or giving out freebies to the clientele, let them be contributors to the process. In other words, there is that ownership which comes up when at least there is joint other than single lane giving. Viable BDS for farmers and users of AES, that how do the public-private sectors work for an effective BDS? In other words, let it not be one side to bring the idea of the business movement, but it should be collaborative. In other words, let all partners work together if we are to push BDS in agriculture. There are too many policies and laws, and the question was, are they favoring extension advisory services? Yeah, I think the cable was touched or tapped. Yeah, it is okay. It is okay. Thank you so much. Well, if I remember, the last one was about digitization. Digitization of extension agents. If the computer is failing, it is okay. Digitization of digitization as a key driver for agricultural growth. There was a concern that most of the digitization things, the way they call it, it is internet-based. And so in the communities where there is no efficient internet, what happens? Will these farmers be off-grid, like they have cut off electricity? And so what will happen? So there is a need for scaling out this technology, putting in mind that at one time there will be no internet, and so farmers will be left out. So there should be a way of making this information available. Then someone tapped the sensor there and the things moved. Don't move that mouse, eh? Don't move it. Language differences and the harmonization of the technology. The technologies, most of these are generated in English. Well, whereas we have UPIC having run from 97 up to date, I mean, not everyone is English conversant. So these should be context or language specific. How can farmers with the, for example, basic or feature phones benefit from these technologies. These technologies are basically targeting these swiping phones. But how about me who has a KABIRA? How can I benefit from these? You know, the transition is not that quick. It is, step by step. But how shall we ensure that even these guys who have phones which can't support those big techs be able to? Lastly, we had the side events. We had 4 side events, but 1 did not turn up. So we had 3. I'm going to be very, very quick. The first one was privatization of extension services. And the key thing in there was like free extension services create a lazy extension clientele or a farmer clientele. And therefore, if we are to have farmers who are responsive, who are going to spur agricultural development onwards, we should withdraw. Extension should come at a cost. We got an example of a person who said that when they go to do livestock extension, they get some money. So this extension agent goes knowing there is a return. Of course, it's not money driving the going, but at least he knows there is a facilitation. Unlike a crop extensionist who will say, I am coming, until when they will come tomorrow, the following day. Simply because there is nothing at the end of the day that they are coming with. Improving and scaling BDS for agri-SMEs. This was for Mayor. They are saying that financial institutions look at investing money in agriculture as a waste. Now the key thing, like, how can we change, even before changing the farmer clientele, changing the loaners or the financial institution, mindset that when you put money in a farmer, it is not to waste. Maybe you've not done something right to make this farmer use your money rightly. Farmer field schools, which was for care and AFAS, that extension should target typology or typology. Understand the farmers you're going to, their resource endowments, their abilities. Don't take what would be fit for village A and take it to village B. Village B has their own challenges and problems, even priorities. So let it be client, specific. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Henry, the Chief Rapporteur for the National Agriculture Extension Week, for bringing us up to speed and for highlighting major issues. At least if we have to forget, let us not forget that the ICT and the technologies that we are developing, they should be inclusive in terms of operation, in terms of language. And then I also get to note that agriculture extension services is not one size that fits all. At some point, it needs this approach. At the other point, it needs this kind of approach. So at this point, I would like to give an opportunity to 3-4 people who would like to comment, to give feedback, and any discussion regarding the presentations that have been made here so far. And then it's from then that we'll be taking a quick break. Thank you. Anyone on regional events, on the summary of the Agriculture Extension Week events, and anything? Yes, we have one. Any other? Yes? We have 2. And I think because time is about to be our enemy, we can move with the 2 doctors. Yes, you're welcome. Ladies first when there is no war, but when there is war, we say, men first. Okay, no problem.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Monica Kapirire. I'm I'm a Ugandan. My comment is on the extension workers. I liked the phrase that Henry used, that in, is it inclusion, we exclude, something like that. The side event that I went to, one was on women and youth, and the other one was agras. And one major thing stood out for me. There was a lady who asked, who commented and said, women, because there was a question of low numbers of women extension workers in agriculture, in a vet, there are very low numbers of extension workers that are women. And so we concluded that the way extension services was crafted, it's more masculine, it favors the men more. So if you are a female extension worker, you swim against the tide. You have to become masculine in order for you to fit. And so this lady said, no, if the need is there, the woman will struggle. So for me, my take was, why is the woman struggling to do extension work and the men are not struggling? That shows that the services themselves, the way they were crafted, were more masculine than feminine. So for me, my take home, and a question for all of us, how do we make extension services in Uganda conducive for female graduates? We have Professor Mangen here, Richard. You know, you're graduating both male and female students. How do we make it conducive for also the female extension workers to excel? Thank you.
Yes, for that.
Thank you. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
Good morning.
My observation relates to farmers who are food security farmers. And then you organize a meeting as an NGO or maybe as government. You call for a meeting and they say, if you're not going to give us something, we will not attend that meeting. But when you have farmers who have a market, I think the story is different. Those individuals actually will be able to invest time to seek for information without even expecting a pay. I think, and I would say that these two scenarios are happening. There are farmers who have a market access and they are ready to demand for extension and receive it wholeheartedly. Then there are those farmers out there whom you think you are targeting for food security purposes. You have even driven your Land Cruiser or pickup or motorcycle. You have all the materials, but they will never come because there is no transport refund. I think we need to rethink. That is the message to NGO and other partners to re-strategize, maybe a cost-sharing system, and then we see those who are serious about receiving extension when they are not connected to the markets. Thank you.
Our two colleagues. Yes, Doctor, you can do the last one.
Thank you. It's just a rebuttal to, sorry, Monica.
Please come closer, Doctor, so that other people online can follow through you. Discussion.
I hope they can see me from here. I'm just reacting to what Monica has raised, kind of disagreeing that the extension services, the way they were crafted, they are not maybe female friendly. Rather, I even think it is easier for women to do extension, because this is a dialogue. You know, it's really a conversation between you and the farmer, getting to know who they are first, identifying with them, and by nature, the females, I think, are even more. They are tuned to do that more easier than the men. That's what I feel, because I've never found extension difficult for me vis-a-vis the men I've been moving with in the field. I find it much easier. Of course, maybe for if we take the side, say for a veterinarian, there may be, and that's why I think there are few issues of physique, because maybe you have to go into the rectum of an animal that is higher than you and those kinds of things. But those are few cases. There are really few cases. So me, I think by the way the female was constituted by God, we even find it easier to interact with farmers more than the men. That's what I believe. But I may be wrong.
Thank you, Doctor, for that feedback. Logistics
those
around
are logistical.
Yes.
Those are logistical, and we should not confuse them with male or female. Anybody, given the logistics, a boat to go to the water, yes, a female may fear going over the water, but the water are few cases in Uganda. But if you have also a vehicle, a male and a female can access the same point in a similar fashion. So, logistical issues should not be confused with the gender.
Thank you, Doctor. Be careful, I'm gender biased, and we may turn this into a gender debate, and it becomes another issue. Thank you for that discussion and key issues that we have raised. There is something someone mentioned yesterday, those of you who were not here for dinner, on the linkages with stakeholders, that in one of the countries in Asia, that is South Korea, the farmers dictate what the curriculum for agriculture extension workers should be. If I feel as a farmer this is not adequate, it is addressed accordingly. And it's one of the voices that I see that we need to reflect through before we leave here, how best. Of course, some voices are weaker than others, but it can't be forever. But maybe to also encourage us that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So anytime we can always have a change. Whoever is doing something in agriculture extension, in the public sector, in the private sector, as farmers recipients, as service providers, let's try our best to do something right, because at some good time, we will reap. We will not regret. So there was a team that was putting together a call to action. And as we go for break, we were encouraged that maybe we need to reflect through some of them. Harrison? There are just a few slides so that we go, and as we take a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, as we walk around the exhibitions, we are meditating and we will discuss it when we come back. So, Harrison, you are lost and found, or? Okay, you can go to the next slide as he comes. Okay, so we are saying that we, the participants who are gathered here at KABIRA Country Club from the date of 23rd to the date of 26th May 2023, we would like to call for action in the areas highlighted here. We've not brought the whole statement of action, but these are the key issues and the key voices that have been coming through from the discussions here, from the dialogue, from the field visit discussions, from the side events, and even all through. So we are saying that we need to enact the National Agriculture Extension Bill 2017 into law. It is something that will reshape our operations. It is something that will encourage us to move forward. And we are saying that we need the agriculture extension grant reinstated. Those of you who have been following, this grant has been revised and it is not there in the current financial budget 2023-2024. So we don't know what our extension workers will be working with. What they have the wage. There is a wage bill, but this grant to help them reach us, the farmers, to help us move forward, it's not there. And then we are also observing that there is a need for increase in public financing in the areas of agriculture, extension, and advisory services. Of course, this is not static. There are many changes happening. There are many opportunities arising to make agriculture extension services better. And we need increase in this to enable us to produce better as farmers. And we are also saying that recruit in extension personnel to fill the existing gaps. There are many gaps among the areas of entomology, of animal health, of crop, and different. There are many gaps in fish. So we also are saying that there is need for fostering collaborations, partnerships, and coordinations among the different stakeholders. So if there is a lie among these statements, we will talk about it when we come back. Harrison, next slide.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Prudence.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much, Prudence. And good morning, participants. We are concluding, and everything is moving well. But like you are all aware, as we agreed, we are not here just to have another week, eat, drink, and then, wear those tags and then go away. But we want to contribute to a significant change in the way the agricultural extension and advisory system delivery system is in Uganda. We want to improve it. And it starts with us, the key stakeholders. We're the key stakeholders. So we want to shape it. So what we have now is from Tuesday when we came in here, we've had your voices, we've had your contributions, the presentations and everything. So we are going to have our guest over now, who is the minister, a cabinet minister, who sits in those weekly cabinet sittings and takes in the voices from the sector. He's going to be in here. So we've summarized the voices that we've had from the presentations and everything that you've given over the past few days, and we want to present this to him. And then we follow this up. But also, most importantly, is we want to be guided by these key areas for the next 1 year. We want to return here, hopefully here, next year around this time, and discuss the progress we've made on these points. So this is going to be like our 8-point program for the next 1 year. Now, we want to get some feedback from you because we're going to present this together to the minister, but it is coming from you. So we want you to own it and we want your feedback. So there could be a few things that you want us to include in here that are not here. So we want you to bring it up before we break off, we go for tea, and just in a few minutes, we want to close this one off. So Henry and Tim are taking notes. We want to go back to the first slide, and get your feedback from in each of these points. Can we go back to the first slide very fast? So point number 1, which has come out very strongly from you, from the voices since Tuesday, is that we need to enact the National Agricultural Extension Services Bill into a law because we believe this is going to streamline, give a regulatory framework that is going to support the streamlining of the delivery system in the country. Do we want to give any feedback on that? Do you want to add something onto that? Hand up. Yes, a microphone is moving very fast. Someone is moving the microphone to doctor very fast. No. On point number 1, we're moving point by point. Point number 1, do you have to add anything on point number 1? Yeah. Where's the microphone? What's the microphone? Okay. Henry, you are noting that? Okay.
Can I say it again?
Yes, please, Doctor, please say it again.
Whatever point we are going to raise here, we must show why.
Yeah.
Maybe so many people are suffering so far.
Yes.
Or, to me, I was even thinking, cutting off the grant is like saying the president should not have advisors anymore and should not have intelligence anymore. So make it to that point. Then also I would suggest that we have also strategies. We give the why and proposals on how it could be done. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Doctor. We are still on point number 1. The doctor emphasizes that, look, let's emphasize that. What exactly are we going to pick from that? Yes, Prof. Yeah. Why do we need the act, the law, now?
Thank you very much. For me, 1, 2, 3, 4 are all about priorities. And for me, I agree with the previous speaker that the why is important, but interpreting it differently because resources are limited and government is prioritizing. So we want to demonstrate the value add of agriculture extension and advisory services to the strategic direction of the country, the vision towards 2040, transition from subsistence peasant economy to money economy, middle income status, and the value add of agriculture extension and advisory services, so that when government is prioritizing, it budgets adequately and doesn't scrap the grant, it recruits adequate personnel. So we want to demonstrate to our minister and the president and all policymakers who appropriate resources that extension is valuable, and that between this year and next year, we are going to demonstrate value, our contribution to the GDP and towards the national aspirations. So therefore, there would be rationale, because otherwise, if we don't demonstrate value, we just say reinstate the grant, so what?
Thank you very much, Professor. In fact, I wanted to cut you short because I didn't want you to come in at this time, and I'll tell you why. But maybe I can make it open because, Doctor, you're going to present this on our behalf. Professor, you're going to do this on our behalf. So reserve all that. Let's package it for you. Yes, Beatrice, go ahead.
Okay, it's just to, we've been talking and even behind there.
Yes.
When we were doing the dialogue, we said that as woofers, and you know that we changed. When we looked at all this, we actually said it is the value,
yes,
the recognition of the value,
yes,
of the contribution, the recognition of the contribution of agriculture extension, which is not there.
yes,
And even if you say do A, B, C, D,
yes,
unless we get back to that, to show the value which the professor is doing. But also I think it's also something, the mindset.
yes,
Because the mindset has kind of like changed.
yeah,
And we hear our policy makers, whatever, saying extension is not, is not useful. The farmers can do away with, can help themselves or whatever. So unless that changes,
yes.
I mean, if I don't think something is valuable, I'm not going to allocate resources to it.
Certainly, yes. Yeah. Yeah, thank you very much. Now, I want to ask to separate two things. Like Prudence was saying, we are going to have two things. There is a communique which we are going to issue out. Now, that has all the details, the how, the strategy, the when, and all that. However, when you are in a lift, I mean, we use this example all the time. When you have just a few minutes with Bill Gates, the founder of the Bill Gates Foundation, and you want to pull out those few points out of your 50-document business plan, what exactly are those? You're not going to discuss all that. We want just those 8 points are the talking points that we want to present to this huge guy to have buy-in into the huge communique document that we're going to have. So that's what I want. That's what I want you to just add on to those points, and we increase value in this. Let's not go into the details now. After her, Max, I want to hear from you before we leave this slide. Yeah.
Thank you. I want to agree with you entirely. We cannot go into the justification at this point. We are faced with a big guy. He just wants to hear what we want him to assist us with. Now it will be our responsibility to do our underground work, kakuyege, to show people that agriculture extension is important. And we have to draw a strategy separately on that. How are we going to do it? Interface with parliament, do policy briefs, plenty of things we can do. So, with that idea of mine, I don't know if we've moved or we can contribute on any of those. Me, I agree with the first four.
Yeah, the first
as
four.
they are. They
Okay,
are
the
very
first
clear.
four, the way they are.
But number five.
Number five, yes.
I think we need to be a bit more articulate on it.
Okay.
When you just say foster collaborations, what is it exactly? What do you want the minister to do? And I'm sure he'll stand there and ask you, the way I know him.
Yeah.
What do you want me to do, you people? Foster collaborations, partnerships, what exactly do you want him to do?
Okay.
You know, sign MOs with NGOs. What is it?
Okay.
You know?
Very good point. So let's work on that very well. And since Professor is here, if we convince her to present this on our behalf, I'm sure she'll be going to find a way to package it and present it very well. Thank you very much, Dr. I really appreciate it. Max, I want your word before we leave this slide.
Thank you, Harrison. I was reserving my words, but I want to start from a point.
Why would you reserve them, for God's sake?
I was starting from a point that we from OFAS started discussing long ago. And I always repeat this, that we don't need to talk to like we are outside this. We need to talk like almost we are inside us.
We own it.
That's where a politician or the guys in the space of policy will say, these guys have a point. So we shall try to project this from a less advocacy, but a more synergetic point of view. And in fact, if we had enough time earlier on, when we say restate this agricultural extension grant, would have actually given the figures that individual institutions here alone are having for 2023 in their budget for extension. Then say, look, just as we are concerned, this is the little we have. However, to make the impact that we want as a country, we need you to do the other one. Some of these points need to be explained from the point of saying, we are in this position. However, if this is made, it makes our work even much more easier. Like number one, the bill. There are so many bills in Uganda as well, which are not even implemented, which are just there. Who knows if even the bill, if it is in place, people will follow it. But for us, we see an opportunity that when this bill is there, it makes us, as extension fraternity, to work better. And we can then deliver to complement strongly to the agenda of the government. So I also agree with the three. We can put them. Of course, number four brings quickly the role of WOFAS. We want also to project the role of WOFAS very, very strongly in terms of the coordination of the actors. You know, the single spine, at the same time, the pluralistic extension, which we normally cherish. The pluralistic extension brings a lot of actors. In the midst of no bill, a lot of other things, then you bring a lot of confusion. Therefore, the role that WOFAS will play in terms of coordinating the actors, like it has brought all of us here, becomes very, very, very important. Not just in the eyes of the ministry, but even to everybody here and even the development. So instead of just talking about collaboration, I think we should talk about a unit or an entity like WOFAS that can foster collaboration, partnerships, coordination for the actors to complement what MAIF is
I've been
doing.
looking at the drafting team to see if they're taking notes of what you're saying, because they are trying to make sure that whatever we discuss, they capture it.
In a nutshell,
yes.
when we talk to the minister, let's project we are here for him or her. Then we are there to support, but we need enabling environment. That is period.
Very good. And that point is if you realize, some of you have gone to the ministry lately, if you want to go and have an MOU signed, it will not be signed. Because the question is, why do we have all these thousands of MOUs? We need a single And you're very right. So we're going to make sure that we package that very well. Yes, Professor.
We've been here talking about innovation, new ways of doing things.
Yes.
While I like 1 to 4, I
Yeah.
see it as business as usual.
Okay.
Recruit, finance, the grant. But what will we do differently when we have all this finance? To me, I think that needs to come out very, very,
Very
clearly.
well. And Professor, after tea break, we're going to have a sit down with you just for us to package this very well.
Because we've
Yeah.
been, we've identified many shortcomings, even from within amongst ourselves,
Yeah.
within government. So we need to show that when we get this grant, this financing, this personnel, we'll do things differently.
It's not business as usual. I agree entirely with you. Second slide, Henry, because I'm standing between Brekti and Henry. Second slide, next slide. Yeah, thank you very much. Now, these are the last 3 points that we have again picked out from the discussion since Tuesday. And farmer education. We've used plain language, the way His Excellency usually uses it. Farmer education. There is so much more. Professionalization of service provision along the entire value chain, and then adoption of digitalization and AES delivery, and establishment of a centralized data generation, packaging, dissemination, and utilization system. What we have in this country right now is everyone is coming up with a database. Farmers are like specimens on a daily basis, data collection, and so can we do something around that? Use of digitalization in delivery, all that. We had samples here yesterday. The guys up there exhibiting, digitalization in there. So what can we do about that? So what do you have to input on those 3 points? Are they winners? Do we have to include them in our quick action point we're presenting to the minister? The microphone is moving around, right? Okay.
Again, I think 7 and 8 are quite clear.
Yeah.
It's like you have a conclusive request, a regulatory body to undertake accreditation.
Yes.
Clear. Centralized data generation, packaging, dissemination, and utilization system established. Clear. But number 6.
Number 6.
Enhancing farmer education. Focusing, strengthen the linkages with research, agronomy, agribusiness. Yes, it's a good but loaded suggestion. I think we also need to be more articulate here. Like, for example, at one time we had these agriculture colleges that offer education to the different caliber of professionals in agriculture. At one time, we remember, I think they had even put them in education.
Yes.
So we are like detached. But I think recently we've been arguing, and they were brought back, if I remember. But we've been struggling to ensure that their curriculum are actually attending to the needs of the farmers, streamlining them so that they are in tandem with the research, the business development, the innovations that Professor is talking about. And as a ministry, they've not been, I hope I won't be taken to Kitaya for this, but I know that they've not been supported very much. The agricultural colleges or training institutions. They haven't had as much support as we would have loved to see from the mother ministry. So I think that is something we can call on the minister to see that it is, maybe have a desk, or I know there is maybe a department responsible for training, to see that there is a special focus, a focal desk to, to deal or to coordinate these agriculture training institutions, but also to make sure that they are adequately supported, to be in tandem with what is required from time to time. Make sure that their curricula they even teach are under the respects of the regulatory body and what they say should be done.
All right.
Something like that.
So that's what we're talking about. That connection there has to come out very clearly. It's not happening. Yesterday, with people who went to CURAD, we saw this very well. CURAD is providing extension services to farmers, also providing business development services to farmers. They are supporting them to develop business plans, financial analysis. But again, they also go ahead and provide them business support services. They are helping them to get certified, get registered by URBS and certification, quality certification by UNBS. So and we felt that this combination is very necessary if we're supporting farmers. And if we detach extension from these others, it will be irrelevant. If we invest money in post-harvest handling when the farmers can't produce enough quality, enough quantities, we're doing nothing. So that connection is one to come out quite well there. And I think that's what we're talking about. Yes. Let me finish, then, Professor, you're going to add on to that.
Thank you. I am just making an addition to what Doctor has just said.
Yes.
These colleges are available, but the problem why there is no proper coordination and linkage and proper support is partly because of placement of these colleges within the ministry. We have these colleges, and we have a full directorate of extension and education with somebody, a commissioner in charge of skills development. But it's not the directorate supervising these institutions. So that is the biggest challenge that these institutions are facing. And if it's addressed, I believe they'll be able to handle training and even backstopping, training the community, the farmers, even these service providers could easily come to these training institutions and be retooled.
Fantastic.
And in addition, I'm also suggesting that in this sixth point, if we could reframe it very properly.
The sixth point?
The sixth point.
Okay.
We need to capture in terms of, when you're talking about curriculum, we need a curriculum which is harmonized. If UFAS could coordinate with the ministry, together with the National Council for Higher Education, and we come up with key competencies that every training institution that is producing these agriculturists should be able to ensure that their curricula captures those key competencies for extension workers. Then we would be assured of people who are going to train and provide extension services in this country.
I agree with you entirely. Tools, curricula, fantastic. So let's have Professor, let's have Honorable, and then someone else, then we'll close it off.
Thank you. The point about the education and curricula is good, but it's different from 6. That's the point I want to raise. So let's have it separate. Okay. Yeah. But then for this particular one, 6, in the spirit in which it is framed, I would say the action is for us to develop and test an AES approach that integrates BDS to support farmers so that there is enhanced competitiveness. So that the action is we test it during this period, there is evidence. I remember at the opening, the USAID rep talked about evidence and the fact that the ministry is going to support that. So that is part of the value add, so that we are going to get to develop, to show value, demonstrate value to government and other actors that extension actually helps government to deliver and to achieve our aspirations. So I would say we shorten it crisp and we say the action is we develop, test, and generate evidence on the value add of extension and advisory services to a market-oriented supporting services for our farmers.
Thank you very much, Prof. I was peeping at the drafting team. Let's first give Honorable. Doctor, you're going to come in next. Honorable's hand was up before. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you. My comment is on number 7.
Number 7.
I wonder why the regulatory body is hidden. And yet that is what would, I think, I see that as a very crystal clear package. Okay. And I wonder why what we are talking is relating to the previous number, either it was number 5. Why don't we bring it out crystal clear that we want UFAS, then back to number 7 to take on as a regulatory body to undertake accreditation. Okay. We are mixing so many things in one activity.
In number 7.
Because professionalizing service delivery and that is on its own is a component.
Okay.
But again, to bring in regulatory, it doesn't add up.
Okay.
I also see one aspect which I've not had. I don't know whether the list is exhaustive. The issues of financing in the agricultural sector.
is not addressed anywhere.
Number three. Number
No,
three?
real estate agriculture extension,
No, number three.
increase public service delivery.
Include public financing.
My concern,
Yes.
even the existing financing, like the agriculture credit facility, the ADB, the what, is not addressing the farmers' needs. Maybe we need to put it better.
Okay.
We need special packaging for agriculture financing. Because when you bulk it with the other business people, our arrangement is quite different.
Oh, yeah.
We have big numbers who are not being assisted.
Yes.
So how do we package ourselves? Our financing is not for ADB. It's not for agricultural credit
UDB.
facility. It's not post bank.
Okay.
Our people are not benefiting at all.
I get your point. Financing is available but not accessible.
It's not accessible.
That's the point.
It's not even appropriate.
Fantastic. Very good
Can
point.
I add
Very good
another
point.
one?
Yes, Honorable. Yes, yeah. Amen.
But since I didn't participate, if I err, forgive me. I
No,
come with my own statements.
No, we understand and we want to be free. Yeah, feel free.
Another issue, at least the few sessions I've attended. Okay, it may come around regulation, but there's something not right about how people are even bringing inputs. Kindly help me how to package it. This forum must say something about the counterfeit.
Okay. Yes.
Where people are investing, and even when they lose, nobody takes responsibility. How do we? I think we have bigger brains than mine.
Yeah,
There's
sure.
something wrong there.
Yes.
That people lose, nobody takes responsibility. Another thing, when we are programming issues which are affecting production and productivity, many of them are being, not to underrate our colleagues, look at issues of irrigation, look at issues of climate change, which are directly affecting us. They are not well catered for. Even in our policy, when we get to those things, they say water will cater. Why? Okay, I appreciate the NDP3 that there's what they call program-based,
yeah.
but it affects us most. I know that when that road got spoiled, that is a one-off occasion, but this is our daily challenge.
Yeah.
So can we take on what belongs to us?
Okay.
What fraction of that climate effect
Is handled by
is handled,
us,
and
agriculture.
our share?
Yes.
How do we own it?
Okay.
How do you put us at a mercy of water to budget for us water for micro irrigation?
All right.
I
Fantastic.
think there is some disservice there.
Some disconnection. Dr. Amiro, you're going to wrap it up for us so that we can go for break tea because the Honorable Minister is on his way here, so we want to be in here as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Honorable.
I
We'll
wanted to add to what Prof. Mangeni suggested. By the way, private sector already, like Churad, Nucafe, so many agri-businesses have outgrower schemes. They ensure quality inputs for their people. They do BDS. So I would say, since we represent them as well, Honorable Minister, sir, our fraternity and private sector have demonstrated this thing. But the greater part of people who depend on public extension now need to, so we will say we have evidence which would like now to extend to other farmers that public sector is handling, where BDS is now well integrated, so that we acknowledge so many efforts out there already.
Which are already ongoing and piloted by the private sector. Thank you very much, Doctor. We appreciate it. So I would like to, Max, I mean, how do we close the slide before Max has given us his input? Sure.
That's what you say. Isn't it? That's what
The
you
Honorable is on
say.
his way here, so very snappy.
Just very shortly,
All
one
right,
on the
fantastic,
BDS you are saying.
I appreciate
BDS is only part of 6. So
Yes.
are you dropping the other elements of research, agronomy, and whatever? Are you saying they are not important? I want that clarity. And I want to help Sarah here. regulation of agricultural inputs, I think is what she's talking about. And it's a responsibility of the ministry with a docket department, fully fledged, responsible for that. So we want maybe the minister to ensure that that regulation is done articulately to avoid losses to the farmers. And then the hidden regulatory body Sarah again was raising. I think the first statement is actually the reason why we need the body.
Yes, that's true.
So it's just that maybe,
So the
we want regulation, so
yeah.
there is professionalization. So it takes us back to what Dr. Mira was saying, that maybe for every aspect we put why.
Yeah, we could be able to rephrase it and put this one to professionalize. So I think that can be done.
At
Just
least
a little
I
bit of
know
rephrasing.
that the policy you're asking will take 5 years. Why don't you ask for a regulatory body which can be put tomorrow?
All right.
The moment you think that it is implied,
Yes.
you will get nothing.
I agree. The phrasing can be done.
Yes. The
rephrasing
other
can
one
be
will
done.
take years. There is no budget. There is no what.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Honorable. Yes, Max, wrap it up for us. Our coffee schoolie.
Let me first be in the middle of the good mamas.
The two, yeah.
One, we need to take the ministry step by step. The more the things we request, none of them can be done. So I want to go back to where Honorable Sarah ended, a regulatory body. And all of you are very good extensionists. And there's what we call embedded services in extension delivery. Now that's another definition to add on the keynote speaker. Embedded services, meaning even the agro inputs, even those they do extension. You know that the best extension in the villages are by people who sell the drugs, and if they are not well trained, if they are not regulated, then they give a very, because they want to sell. So for now, if they accept the regulatory body, we can put the terms of reference of this also in the regulatory body. So UFAS could also, together with the ministry, play a part of capacity building of the input dealers and making them to be, because some of them did not sit in a class 0 and U where Prof. Margaret used to give you a quick test. No, they didn't. But they do a good extension. They do. They fill the gaps. So how do you make them professional, despite their way? That is what UFAS and us should be able to think about. The other thing that I want to mention, the last bullet, which is number 8. If you share adoption of digitalization in air delivery, the minister says, hey, but we have this. Already, MAIF is already doing the e-registration. Under the ACDP, there is a lot of registration of the farmers. So we need to package it well.
The phrasing.
The packaging would be starting from establishment of a centralized data generation packaging and something like that. If you say adoption, that is a dead deal already.
Okay.
If I'm the minister, I'll tell you.
The doctrine team is hearing that. Yeah.
We needed to package it in a way that is a bit unique from what the ministry is currently doing. Last comment. Now, number 6, I hope it will be refreshed. When you talk about farmer education, be careful with the current terminology. Everybody, the ministers are traveling for very important meetings. This is a very long-term word, education. People are in innovation. What we want is a farmer innovation. Why? You're not going to educate the farmers. Which farmers are you talking about? We are going to innovate with the farmers. That's why we say the role of extension has expanded beyond education, beyond training, and we have a lot of things along the food systems, along the innovation system, along the value chain, along the food security issues. So innovation is, I know the minister, if it is the minister, Honorable Frank Kami, he closed a Sareka meeting without a written notes, and I was so impressed. His brain is in agriculture. So we have to be very careful with words. Otherwise, he's a very good, he's a very good debater.
He is.
He can say, this one we are doing. What else do you want?
Okay.
So let's be very careful in the terms of the words that we are using that are really trickling his coming to us and sticking with us.
Okay, fantastic. So thank you very much, team. Yes, Prof, as the one who is going to represent us. Professor, you cannot say no.
Thank you. Thank you. The point I want to make is this statement for the minister only or for us as well? Shall we have an opportunity to make a statement for ourselves? Because in the pluristic arrangement, there should be a call for action for all of us leaving this place. Yes. So I would urge that the minister also knows that we are not just asking him to act, but we have also asked other actors to act. What is the private sector going to do, committing going forward? How about us in academia? How about UFAS and AFAS?
Okay.
Max, you and I need to also go here committing something, so that at the end of the day, each of us will do something, and then next year we come here to account. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor. I appreciate it. So let's include actually. It's going to go to about 9, as long as they don't exceed 10 points, I think. They are still within. So let's work on those points before the minister is here. We're going to present them, and then I believe we're going to use this as our next commandments for the next year. So thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaziro, for taking us through that. So we have earned ourselves a break, and it's now 18 minutes past 11. So our break is 20 minutes. We take a cup of tea, of coffee, and walk around exhibitions. And once you hear, ooh, loo, loo, you just know that we need to be back here for our official closing ceremony. Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for your participation. And thank you so much for your deliberations. We really don't take that for granted. Enjoy your break. Those of you who still have pieces of paper where you had made your recommendations, please hand them in to our secretariat. Gerard is looking out for them.